Hello, 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 Mosaic Souls. Hey, Mosaic Souls, this is Rachael Alexander, artist and Mosaic Soul mentor. And I wanted to talk to you today about my spiritual viewpoint on diets.
It all began with a dream, a woman on a mission to create change in the world through her spiritual prowess and creative faculties. Creating a business and lifestyle that spreads love, light, and higher consciousness. And then doubt, disbelief, and lack of confidence came. But still, I kept persisting. But in my search to be different and to stand out, I lost myself and my dreams. Then I realized that I only had to be myself. And that's when everything began to click. And that's when Rachael Alexander TV was born.
So, the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is my background. A lot of my background with me kind of starting in this online game was in health coaching, and I also talk about health on this channel a lot as well. And as my spiritual prowess has grown and evolved, so has my viewpoint on diets and health in general evolved. And one of the basic premises of my belief system right now around diets in general is that it's very similar to the same system that I talked about in the video of how to stop caring about what other people think about you. But I basically believe that we're all here to do our own thing. And I think that diets is no exception. The way that we eat, the way we consume food is also no exception. And being a certified health coach and all that stuff from IIN it actually very much so confirmed that, because we studied over 100 dietary theories and how it works for different people. And the reason why I know this to be true is basically because our belief systems, whatever we experience on an external physiological level, is really based upon our belief systems. I've done so much research, especially recently, but in general, around the mind, body, spirit, soul connection. And I've seen people heal themselves from all kinds of stuff just by shifting their beliefs. I've seen people literally who've had terminal illnesses. People, my uncle is one of those people who was diagnosed with, needed to get heart surgery, a triple bypass, broke his back several times, broke his neck. Man's almost 80, and every time he was meant to go under the knife or in surgery, he healed himself literally within a span of 24 hours or so. And I've seen not only his account in my personal sphere, but just done a lot of research on this just because out of my curiosity and a desire to know how the universe works and how we as human beings, really souls having this human experience, are divine, and how we can truly heal ourselves with just the shift in our belief systems. But what I've come to understand too is that each of our souls wants us to experience certain things in our given lifetime, right? And so I used to be very dogmatic when I first started out in health coaching and in general with helping people with their health. I was very one-track minded, and I'm glad that I went to health coaching school because it really taught me to open up. But as I deepened and expanded my spiritual prowess, one of the things I've come to understand and learn is that there's no one diet for anyone. I personally promote a plant-based diet because I do know that no matter what kind of variations us as humans, we do need to have some form of this is also a belief too, actually, but nevertheless, we usually, in general, not the exception to the rule, but in general, masses of us usually need some sort of fruits and vegetables in our diets. Now, if you add other proteins and other stuff like that, that's totally fine. Everyone is different, and I used to be very dogmatic about it. A few years ago, I used to be very like hardcore. Anytime I feel like people make a religion out of anything, like a religion out of the food that you eat, or a religion out of your belief system and stuff, you're missing the picture. I have a tendency to not split the fence as much as I'm able to see different viewpoints and recognize that all different viewpoints are valid, because what will work for someone, like what will work for person A, won't work for person B, because their belief systems are not the same. And also their past and what they came here to experience as souls having this human experience are not the same as well. And so like even with me and my partner, one of the things that I've really recognized for me as my soul journey is that my soul really likes when I eat lots of raw fruits and vegetables, when I'm really on the vegan path, when I'm staying away from animal products and stuff. Now, does that mean that I need to demonize people who eat meat, or do I need to demonize people who eat dairy, or demonize people who, no, that doesn't make any sense. Like, one of my friends also shared it with me, and it really helped me to expand my viewpoint. That the animals on this planet kind of know exactly what's going on, and so even though there's a mass suffering on this planet, and even though we have this kind of predatory vibe where we have billions and billions of animals that are suffering and or being slaughtered to be eaten, that's a part of the experience that they came to have, because that's what's happening, right? And it might sound callous and stuff like that, but on a spiritual level, all is divine, and I think as we grow in consciousness and as we start to expand our consciousness and raise our vibes, we'll start to prefer not to eat animals. That's how I kind of see it, is that we'll start to have a preference to eat less and less meat, less and less animal products. But in general, is it bad? No, all realities, all belief systems are valid until we recognize that we don't have to do that anymore. A lot of our belief systems right now on the planet are in alignment with a lack fear-based mentality, where it's the survival mentality, where we have to take in order to make something happen, where we have to do something in order to make something happen, where we have to, the survival of the fittest, where we have to kill in order to survive. That kind of, even another viewpoint that actually expanded me on this is that plants, and those living are living organisms, and so technically we're killing them too. Like when we, eat fruits and vegetables and stuff, like on another kind of level, we're still needing to consume in order to survive, And so it really helped me to expand my awareness as I started to study all these different things and just do a lot of research. And what I've come to understand and know is that every viewpoint is a valid experience to have, right? Now, your preferences will shift as your consciousness expands and then your conscious awareness grows and elevates. So will we always want to continue to eat meat on the earth as human beings? I don't believe so. Will we always need to eat food? Like, will we always need to consume food in order to survive? I don't believe so, but that could be thousands, that could be 10 years from now, that could be millions of years from now, who knows? I don't know. But my viewpoint is generally that whatever belief system you have, if you demonize anything, just recognize that that's what's going to play out in your reality. Now, there are definitely certain things, on a scientific level, but what people don't recognize is, especially when people always try to like throw science as like the backing behind their beliefs or their dogmatic viewpoints about things, is that science only reflects our belief system. And we don't recognize that we are the creators of our reality. And when you're the creator of your reality, everything that you're going to experience in a physiological way in your physical human experience is going to be a reflection of your belief system. And that's why I always talk about, creating your life from the inside out, is because as souls having this human experience, we are literally creating from the inside out. We automatically have this, these beliefs that think that everything outside of us is separate from us, and so that we're at effect to what's going on outside. Like the stage is already set, and what we experience on the outside is already set, and we're just we just need to handle and deal with it or cope with it the best way we know how. And so we kind of have this victim mentality going on, when really it's quite the opposite. You can only experience externally what you believe internally. It's never the opposite. It's never what you see is what you believe. It's what you believe is what you will see. And so because we are the creators of our own reality, because we are constantly living and experiencing our own expectations, our focus, our beliefs, our thoughts, and our emotions on a consistent basis, that is what we're going to experience on a physiological level, even on our bodies, right? So that comes down to diets, And, when I was thinking about this, me personally, I'll just share something really quickly. I became vegan and I started learning, like, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, I became vegetarian vegan. And I had been learning about the horrors of, the food industry, the meat industry, the dairy industry, and all that stuff, and what's really going on with the food. And, at that time, I shifted my beliefs because I grew up eating meat, like pretty much everybody, unless, you're just one of those outliers where you grew up vegan. I did grow up with some friends who were like that. But in general, I grew up eating meat and all that stuff. And around the age of 15, I began to have friends who would talk to me about it. And why do you eat meat all the time? And so that kind of planted a seed. And then as I started taking modeling, for some reason, one of my modeling teachers showed us this horrible movie about the industry. I don't know if it was Cowspiracy or I can't even remember it, but I was probably 15, 16. And that also planted a seed. And then as I went off to college, I studied even more. And then my friend who passed away, it just nailed the nail in the coffin for me, the nail in the coffin for me. And I just decided I'm never going to eat meat again, and And of course I shifted back for the last couple of years. And then I'm back now to doing the whole vegan thing. But in general, what I've discovered is that because my beliefs shifted, right, from childhood, I never really, my mom didn't really demonize meat. We didn't really eat beef and stuff. We would eat chicken and stuff like that, or turkey, but we didn't really eat beef and pork and stuff. But in general, I didn't grow up with this kind of belief system that demonized eating meat, right? And actually, in some societies, it's a sacred way. There's a sacred relationship between the sacrifice of another human, of another entity's life for the food that's prepared and stuff like that. So of course we can get in, that's a whole nother story. But in general, I didn't have a belief system that had that. And so because I didn't have a belief system, I didn't have lots of health issues surrounding eating meat, and I used to eat meat every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it was a given, eggs, all kinds of stuff, right? And I didn't grow up with much health issues. I did have a little bit of a stint, but in general, I was a pretty healthy kid. Diabetes definitely did run in my family, and so did high blood pressure. And so I was definitely aware of that growing up. But when I started to shift my beliefs around the age of 15, 16, all the way up until 18, 19, into this viewpoint, watching all these kind of videos that are showing the horrors of the industry, and kind of demonizing the whole meat eating, dairy industry and stuff like that, my beliefs and my body started to shift to that. And so when I would eat meat, I would literally become sick, or I would feel repulsed by it and stuff like that. Whereas before I didn't have that reaction, right? And so it's because my beliefs shifted that I start to have these physiological reactions to it, and now that I've recognized this and I'm able to look back in hindsight, oh, that's why my body started doing that. Because I was I used to eat all this kind of stuff and it never used to bother me, and it's only because my beliefs aligned. And that's powerful. That truly shows you, because I believe in parallel realities. I believe that whatever you believe you will see, you will experience on a physiological level. That is exactly what's going on. And so now, looking in hindsight, I approach diets, and even when I help clients and stuff like that, and as I'm moving forward into helping more clients and stuff around that, is I believe that you just follow your soul and follow what your highest excitement is. And for me, what I've recognized is letting go of all the dogmatic viewpoints on it, letting go of all the demonizing or pointing fingers and saying, you're wrong, I'm right, and all this kind of like childish stuff that we do. And just recognizing that, oh, for me on a soul level, my soul wants me to experience eating majority vegan. That's what just not necessarily vegan, more so plant-based, right? And just eating lots of fruits and veggies and raw fruits and veggies and stuff like that. And possibly even frugivore, becoming a frugivore, not frugivore, fruitarian, whatever. Anyways, so that's just something that excites me on a personal level. I don't think it's anything to do. I honestly think it's all about following your highest excitement. And now, if you have belief systems, or if you have like emotional issues or other things that you haven't handled, your dietary, what you experience on a physiological level will also be affected. And so therefore, using diets as a placebo can help you to achieve the health that you want, right? And what we don't realize, and this is very, very powerful, that's something I just want to mention, is that everything on this planet is a placebo, right? Anything that we do, any activity that we do, any food we consume, the beliefs that we experience is a placebo in order to get the result that we are looking for. And that's some powerful stuff to really understand, is that it's all a placebo. So say that you wanted to, become healthier or whatever, or lose weight, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to become raw vegan, or I'm going to go vegan and stuff. That's a placebo. You can easily lose weight eating meat, you know what I mean? And you can easily, that's why there's so many diets. That's where I studied, and as a health coach, over 100 dietary theories. That's why so many different scientific studies come back and have so many different proofs and case studies around their different diets, because it's all about your beliefs and what you believe. And so if you believe that you need to eat, because I've seen so many different diets, seen people promoting, you only want to eat egg whites and this and this and this and this, high protein, low carb diets, high carb, low fat diets, and all this other stuff, right? And it works for each individual according to their beliefs. And so it's just a placebo. And that's my spiritual viewpoint on diets, and that's why I'm glad that I'm a health coach, and I'm glad that I'm able to help people kind of on their own path, their own spiritual path, really, to their optimized version of health. I no longer demonize it, and I used to think about, oh, well, I can't be with someone who's non-vegan and all this stuff like that. And none of that matters when you really know who you truly are and why you're here, and your own personal path. You can stand firm in your personal path. So I can sit down with a bowl of fruit across from someone who's eating some, chicken and rice, and still have a great conversation, and it not be something that's such a big thing, And that's when you've kind of evolved, when you know that you're no longer religious about food. We, like, for some reason in the health community, there's such a religiousness about different diets. And I think the piece that they're missing is that we're spirit beings having this human experience. And that's why it really doesn't matter, and eventually as a whole, a collective consciousness, I do think that we'll probably shift eventually, but who knows when that will happen. All I know is live your life and follow your highest excitement. And I feel as the more that we wake up, the more that we follow our highest excitement, the more that a lot of the stuff that we do on the planet that's based out of lack and fear and victim mentality will start to fade away, and we'll start to stand in our power and do things that feel good for us, and maybe a lot of people will wake up and say they no longer want to eat meat and stuff, and maybe a lot of people will evolve and say, I no longer need food to survive, you know what I mean? Like, so, it's just all about evolution and just being in alignment with your higher self, with your divinity, with your soul, and experiencing the life that you came here to experience on your personal journey. And to not demonize anything or become dogmatic, and just realize and recognize that whatever diet you choose is totally fine. And just be okay. Like for me, when I decided, okay, well, I'm just going to stay on the whole plant-based thing for me majority of the time. I'm not going to become dogmatic about it. I'm not going to penalize myself if I decide, 5 weeks from now, I want a piece of chicken. It don't matter, you know what I mean? So like, just to be easy about life and not be so dogmatic and rigid about everything, and just to follow your highest excitement and recognize the belief systems that have led you to the life experiences that you're experiencing in your life at this moment in time. And if you're having experiences that you don't want to have, you can simply shift your beliefs, and adopt whatever placebos you want to adopt, whatever diets you want to use as your placebos, whatever spiritual practices, spiritual tools you want to have in your spiritual toolbox. Adopt those to help you achieve the result you want, but ultimately you're a divine being, and you can shift your belief systems at any time. Once you recognize the core belief and the many branches that it has, you can then dismantle them and then create a new belief system along the lines of your preference, what you want to experience preferentially on a human physiological level. So I hope that this video has been helpful. I'm super excited to talk about this because it's something that I've been wanting to talk about, my spiritual viewpoint on diets, and just kind of debunking all this kind of dogmatic stuff around it, and just talking about it from a spiritual teacher point of view versus this kind of very human level. We are humans, right? But we are totally divine. Like, we're totally divine beings, source made manifest, God made manifest in human form, an expression of the divine, expression of God made manifest in human form. And when we start to step into that, we start to recognize that, and you start to see, oh, it's my beliefs that's causing this physiological thing. And it's also my desire, right? So understanding where your desires lie, there is no right or wrong path. You know what I mean? I know people who have lived up into their 90s, or, into their hundreds, and they still eat all kinds of different diets. And I'm not talking about the diets, about your belief system. It's about your mind and what you've come here to experience on a human level. And so when you start to understand that, you can let go of all the fear, of all the rigidity, of all the penalization and the stuff that we put on ourselves, the victimization and all this other stuff. We let go of all that and just be who we want to be on the planet, and allow others to be who they want to be on the planet as well. So I hope this is helpful. And if you like this video, definitely give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and remember, you are divine. Follow your heart and vibrate higher. Peace, love, and light.